Brent, Webb in the house. How you doing, brother?
Hey, I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm doing fine, man. Thank you so much for joining. You're joining us from Las Vegas. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Right now, I'm actually in Cleveland, Ohio. So
Mm.
I move a lot. I was just in Tahiti last week.
Yeah.
I'm moving all over, but yeah. So I'm in the Midwest right now.
Yeah. And how's traveling? Like traveling all the time? Like you enjoy it? Does it become tiring? Do you miss home?
I mean, I've been doing it for 30 years, so
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I'm used to it. But it is a lot of travel. I mean, now I've slowed down a little. I just don't need to do as much. But I've been literally everywhere in the world. The only place I hadn't been was Antarctica, and I did a cruise there a couple of years ago. So I've literally been
Okay.
everywhere. So I've seen everything there is to see. It's still fun to travel, especially to get paid to travel. But I like
Yeah,
being
yeah,
home too.
yeah. Now I can imagine it's nice to just go around, meet different types of people, check out different types of cultures, get an understanding of how the world actually is, on the other side.
Right?
So you've also been to my side of the world. You've been around Africa, South Africa.
Yes. Yes.
Nice. So in South Africa, where about like did you go?
Well, I did. I have some friends there, in Cape Town, and I've stayed there.
Okay.
I've flown in and out of there a lot. I mean, and I spent a few weeks there. I haven't, done any real,
Yeah, yeah,
sightseeing,
yeah.
and there's a lot of places I've been to, like Germany, and where I've just flown through. I mean, I've been there, but for a while I've been to Paris 5 or 6 times before I ever saw the Eiffel Tower, just because it's like I'm passing through. There's no time to. So I've been a lot of places, but I haven't had a lot of time, to kind of, because I'd love to do
Yeah.
that, to kind of immerse yourself in the culture, meet the people.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I can imagine, man. I mean, when you're traveling, especially if it's, always work related, you don't have time to actually like sit down and have like a casual conversation. I mean, there's a lot of talking that's going on, but just like sit down, relax, have a cup of coffee, let's have a chat, check out the views.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But I can imagine it is still exciting, it is still exciting, just checking out all these different places. Yeah, man. But I mean, once again, thanks for coming on. I'm just going to jump into it. But first, I'm going to get to know you, much more better. So, I mean, you involved in, mindset development, personal development. You worked with so many brands and huge companies. You worked with music icons. Before all of this, before this all started, like, what's your day one looking like? Where did it all start for you?
Well, I was an only child, and I'm from this area in Ohio. I'm visiting family. And so I started out as a magician, like a little kid magician, pick a card kind of thing. But when I was about 10, I went to the library. I would go and I would take out magic books. And one day there was a book on the shelf called The Magic of Believing, and it was mistakenly put on the magic trick shelf. And it was all about the power of the mind. So even at 10 years old, I read that book and I was like, something flipped on. And I thought, there's more to the world than we realize. So even at that young age, and then once I started performing, I started out as an entertainer, like we talked about, as a magician. I was a mentalist, but the more I got into the mind, the more amazing things started to happen, and the more I kind of shifted into that. But when I first started, I was an anxiety-filled mess like everybody else. And throughout my life, I've faced cancer and drinking and drugs and smoking and all of those things. I got through because they're mindset things. I mean, if you really use this amazing power you have, we all have this amazing machine inside us, and nobody knows how to use it. It's like no one knows how to operate this thing. And when you
Yeah.
realize how powerful you are, it changes everything.
Yeah. I mean, you're correct in what you're saying, like, I mean, I wish when I was 10 years old, I knew how powerful the mind actually is. We wish we knew these things, the world is still so chaotic, when it comes to the mindset. People don't know how to actually use it for their own benefit. And, it's mindset, set your mind, where you want it to be. And the subconscious also being so important, and how much reprogramming actually needs to happen there as well. I remember so many situations in my life, growing up, where I ended up asking myself, why am I doing a specific thing? This is not me. It's not who I am. Or why do I consume alcohol and then all of a sudden, I'm getting like all, aggravated, and I'm like, I want to like fist someone, and it happens to a lot of people, and this show, I'm like fully transparent. This is stuff that I actually went through. And then in my 20s, I started thinking, whoa, something's not right here. This is not how I want to act. And then I just started looking into, the subconscious mind and how to reprogram it. And, I tried out different exercises, I got involved in meditation. And once I started doing that and I gave myself a couple months, with these exercises, my behavior started to change. What used to affect me doesn't affect me anymore. So now if I go out and maybe I do consume alcohol, it's like I'm chilled out about it. I'm there to enjoy myself. I come home, I sleep. Doesn't happen all the time, that I go these days because of that reprogramming, but it's brought so much benefit to my own personal growth. Do I still face challenges? I do. I honestly do. The moment you reach one level in life, the next level is going to come with its own challenges, and then you got to keep like your mindset like steady on the goal, and focus. And it's not always easy. This is one of 3 podcasts that I actually manage and produce and host. And I mean, I started this podcast, dedicated to the creator space, no matter what sort of creator you are. And I mean, everyone is a creator in some way or form, doesn't necessarily mean that, look, I'm going to be a musician, a singer, an author, I'm going to be involved in publishing, whatever it may be. And mindset is one of the challenges that I see like a lot happening out there, So it's so key. I mean, it's so key. So you said that, okay, you had your own anxiety, growing up, like all of us do, whether we want to admit it or not. So what clicked for you to say, okay, you know what, I actually want to become like an expert, a coach in this field? What did you see out there that this is like, yo, this is what I'm going to do for life now?
Well, once you realize that you're programmed, I mean, most people are completely programmed for their entire life. So, but by the time you're an adult, you're programmed since you were a child. Your parents programmed you, your teachers, the media, the government, where you are. That's all programming, your religion. And so now when you become an adult, you have to look back and see what is going on up there, because whatever happened to you as a child is what is running your life now. Because the first 8 years of our lives, it's like we have a tape recorder inside our head that records everything. Okay. And then one day you're about 8.5, the tape stops. And now for the rest of your life, that tape that's going to run in your mind when you're on autopilot is the tape that you made when you were a kid. You weren't logical. You weren't mature. So you're being run. You're being completely run by a program that was created when you were not mature, you were not logical, you were a child. So now you're an adult, and no matter what happened to us, we can blame our mom and dad and whoever, but now we're the only ones who can look back and go, okay, I have to figure out what's going on up there. Because when you're on autopilot, it's like 90% of the day where that mind is just talking and you're completely enwrapped in it. You're enthralled in it. You are believing everything that this voice is saying in your head. So, I mean, the moment when I realized the voice that's talking in my head is not me, that was the big thing. I mean, I meditate every day. I meditate 45 minutes in the morning, 45 minutes in the evening. I've done that for years, and I do it because it's transformative. I haven't had a drink in 10 years. I haven't had a cigarette in 10 years. It's just transformative. But every day, the little tiny things, becoming aware, staying mindful, working on those things, getting control of that voice, because people think that voice is them. When you realize that that voice is not you, there's liberation there, because real freedom is on the other side of that constant bitchy roommate you've got up there who's narrating your life.
Yeah. It's like your eyes is your camera, since birth, and that's what's actually recording. I watched this video once. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Billy Carson. Have you heard of him? Billy Carson?
I don't think so.
So so he's hectically involved like in spirituality, the stuff that I've like gathered from him has like, changed my whole view of life, and he had this video once of saying that when we're born, or even right now, right here, we don't know who we really are. When you're born, you're given a name, you're given a religion, you're given a political view, right? You're told what to do. And that's how the whole entire education system was built on, because you go to school, you're just getting more and more programmed not to become an entrepreneur or not to do something that's, driven by purpose in life, something I'm truly passionate about.
No, to be a cog in the machine.
Yeah, the matrix. Let's call it the matrix. It's all in the matrix. And only thing it's teaching you is to get out there, get an average job, continue paying taxes. And what you said about, what happens or the trauma that you face in your childhood, it does go into your teens and it goes into your adulthood. And you're still suffering with the trauma because you haven't healed it, haven't healed it yet. On last night's show, we were actually touching on the divorce rate, and I was tying it down to South Africa. It just keeps increasing. And what I've personally seen out there, it's a link back to that trauma. When I view it from the outside, it's linked back to that trauma because you get into this relationship, you get married, you have kids, everything seems okay, maybe to family, maybe to friends, but there's things going on that you haven't resolved yet. And that's how we got domestic violence going on. And the divorce rate is just booming because we haven't resolved those issues yet. That's why we're not living a fulfilling, happy life. Would you agree with that, when we look at relationships, failing relationships?
Of course, because we expect the other person to somehow complete us or make us happy. And that's because we're always looking. We think that happiness exists in something else. It exists in a person. When I meet this person, I'll be happy. When I get this job, I'll be happy. When I get $1 million, a smaller butt, a new car, whatever it is, it puts happiness ahead of you and you're chasing it for the rest of your life. And then when you do get the thing, if that does happen, how long are we satisfied before we want the next thing? It's instantaneous almost. So if you play that game, you'll go your entire life from thing to thing to thing to thing, and you'll never really be happy because you think you have to somehow earn that we don't deserve that feeling. We have to do something really great to get that. And when you believe that, again, belief is powerful. When, if you have belief in yourself, I mean, I know, a lot of people that are super confident that have very little talent that are wildly successful. It's much more common to do that than to have, a lot of talent and no self-confidence and be successful, because there's just something about the self-belief. It overrides a lot of things, but there's so much craziness going, because you're right. You're given a name, a religion. It's all programming. So now, like I said, you've got to look at that. It's up to you. You can't really blame anyone. People say to me, oh, my parents got divorced. And, you're 50 years old. Your parents are dead. They've been divorced for 50 years. You can't keep using that as an excuse. There has to be a certain point where you look in the mirror and you say, no matter what happened to me, and a lot of people have been through some horrible things, but you have to stand up and save yourself, because no one's going to ride in and do it. It's really up to us. And that's how we make the world better, by making ourselves better. People get around us, get inspired, and they start changing. That's how you do it, not by bombs and missiles and, strong arming. It's got to be, you change, people see you change, they start to change. That's the way we really have to do it.
Yeah, see, believe. Like, you need to practice what you preach. So people seeing you living what you're saying, what both of us are saying on this podcast, that's like, okay, look, they're actually doing it, like what you said about belief is so strong. It reminds me of Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. Now, the average person who sees the book, they're thinking, okay, this is a quick way to actually get money. But it all starts internally. You have to have like that conviction, in what you're doing and where you want to go and how much money you want to make if that's your goal. Yeah, feel it, that desire,
Nobody gets that.
To it, Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, you should know. I mean, people look at a book that, all of a sudden has rich on it or has money on it. You think, okay, no, they're going to tell you how to do something, that's going to make you quick money along the way. But it all starts here, spirituality is so important. Starts like within, and you have to believe in that, and you have to preach that, and you have to talk about that, even if you're talking to yourself. I mean, I'm just throwing things out there that I've been doing. You can tell me if I'm going down the right direction or not. But that's what
it's true. Very true. Everyone thinks the law of attraction. So everyone thinks it's like, I'm going to sit on my sofa and I'm going to dream about a Ferrari and I'm going to imagine myself driving it, and then it's going to be out in the driveway. That's what they think. And that's not how it works. I mean, the law of attraction is a real thing. And most people are attracting what they don't want. They're attracting all the things they're scared of because they're feeling that way. It's like the feeling feeling, you get yourself in the state of what you want, and then it just starts to happen. So when you're constantly afraid of things, not only are you repelling what you really want, you're bringing to you what you don't want. So everyone's using the law of attraction backwards. They're thinking, but it doesn't work like you just pray for it and it's there. Otherwise, everybody would have everything they ever wanted. It takes kind of moving towards it. That's the step everyone forgets. It's like you can't just, sit on the sofa and eat a sandwich and expect it to happen. You have to kind of make it happen. And to do that, you have to feel it. You have to get yourself in the state.
Yeah, no, that's so true. Exactly what you just said there. That's what I was going to say. You have to be in that state. I'll be honest with you, it's not always easy, and whoever is listening, it's not going to be easy to put yourself in that state of mind, especially if you're surrounded by so much negativity. Look at the world today, so much negativity. And if you are watching mainstream news, for example, or any sort of news out there, you know what I mean? You should be watching a podcast such as this. Check out Brent's website and all the courses and books he has available. That's where your attention actually should be. But we're so focused, on what's going on in the world, who's bombing who's fighting with who, and all that. And I mean, all that is by design.
Of course,
masses need to know all of that is by design. It's designed to keep you in that low vibrational state of anxiety and depression and worrying and being concerned about, it takes the same amount of energy to be optimistic about the future, than sitting there, oh no, what's going to happen, and we see that happening, all the time. Like you mentioned meditation, right? I mean, meditation, 45 minutes, that's a long time. For an average person starting off, 5 minutes is going to seem like 5 hours, for that person. What tips can you share, to make that process easier for people? What can people do?
Well, let me tell you, I teach, and I do this all over the world. I do it on cruise ships, and I teach this very quickly. I call it the ABCs of mind power, but it's the 3 things you got to, if you're watching this and you like what we're talking about, you want to make a change, you feel like it's time to do something, you don't need to go and buy anything from me. You have everything you need inside you right now. You don't know how to use it. It's like when you buy a cell phone, you buy a computer, you buy a toaster, you get a manual that tells you everything about it, right? You get this thing, which is the most sophisticated supercomputer ever invented, and it's like you're on your own. You're completely lost. You don't know what to do. So the first thing you have to do is you have to become aware of what is going on in your mind. That's the A, okay? It's awareness. What is the voice saying in your head when you're on autopilot? Because there's a voice talking in your head, right? There's a voice you make talk. Like if you're trying to figure out something and you go, okay, I got to go down turn left. And then you're figuring out something, the voice can talk. But then there's the voice that just starts talking. You're driving and the voice says, remember the birthday party in 3rd grade where you peed your pants and everyone laughed at you and you get embarrassed. There's that voice. That's the problem. This old mechanical programming that pops up. So it's like, what is that voice saying all day long when you're on autopilot? So I tell people, super easy. You just name the voice in your head. It sounds crazy, but I've been teaching it for 20 years because once you do it, you give the voice a name. And when it starts talking, you just kind of look at it and laugh inside. And you say, I called mine Carl. You go, oh, there goes Carl again. But it takes all the power away because now it's not the voice of God. It's not the voice of the future. It's literally programming. And because you've named it, it's funny. It takes all of the sting away from it. But what it does more than that is you start to realize because you see the voice, you hear the voice talking, it can't be you. You are something above that. You are the awareness. You are the consciousness who is watching this happen. So it starts to separate between you getting pulled into all this drama, the voice is talking and you're being dramatic, to you are witnessing the voice talking. So once you start to okay, now I know, what is this? What is this about? It's saying stuff, it doesn't make any sense. So it starts to lose its grip. The B of the ABCs is belief. You start to believe in yourself again. You don't have to do anything. As soon as you become aware of all the old crap that is in your mind, you start to believe that it's possible. Maybe your dreams you start to feel it again, right? And then the C is connection. And that's where we get to meditation. To start, I tell people 5 minutes a day is more than enough. And you do that for a couple of weeks. You want to do it first thing in the morning, okay? And a lot of people teach around lunchtime because you do get a lot of energy from it. So if you do it at the end of the night, very often, if you're doing it right, you'll have a big rush of energy, which isn't what you want right before bedtime. But the best times to kind of get into your subconscious, it's first thing in the morning, last thing at night, because it's between being asleep and being awake. So you're in that gray area, right? First thing when you wake up, if you go set your clock for 5 minutes and meditate, okay? And here's how I teach people. You can sit in a chair, your feet flat on the floor, hands on your knees, take a couple of really deep breaths. You're going to close your eyes. And all you're going to do for 5 minutes is you're going to count 1 to 20 over and over and over in your head. So it'll sound like this in your mind: 1, 2, 3, 4. And then what's going to happen is the voice is going to say, why are we doing this? This is stupid. Why? As soon as you hear that, you go right back to 1, 2, 3. If you start thinking about lunch, where am I going to have for lunch? 1, 2. And every time you do that, you're pulling back your focus. You're strengthening your ability to focus, which nobody ever teaches us. They used to tell me in school, you need to learn to focus. And then one day I said, when did we learn to focus? Because I missed that day. And she admitted that we didn't. No one knows how to focus. Meditation does amazing things, because what it does, people think it's pushing the voice out of your mind. It's not, especially at the beginning. It's actually, you are widely aware of what the voice is saying, because you are sitting there not moving, and you're counting, and you're giving that lower voice a job. You're letting it count. At a certain point, you'll transcend that voice, because it'll just keep talking, and you'll eventually go over it. When you do that, you hit joy, you hit that bliss feeling, and then it starts to seep into your life. Meditation, I quit drinking without going through any kind of rehab. I quit, pain. I was taking 20 pain pills a day years ago without withdrawal. I quit that. It's 2 packs a day to nothing. I just quit smoking. It falls away without doing anything, because we just have all lost that connection with ourselves. Nobody sits anymore with themselves, just quietly with their thoughts. What they're doing is they're on their phone, they're scrolling, they're on the computer. It's like, if you have any downtime, you immediately pick up a device. That's what everyone does. And you're so connected to this that you're disconnected from this, which is the most important thing. The inner us, like the soul, the consciousness, that is what matters. Like, everyone thinks the outer world matters the most, like houses, cars, boats, people, and they don't pay any attention to the inner world. But it's the inner world where all of the things that matter come from: love, confidence, joy, all of the things that you think are so amazing. They have to come from inside. You can't go out and buy confidence or love or anything else. You've got to grant it inside. Everyone does it backwards. I have to look for something outside to make me confident. I have to look for someone outside to make me happy. And then what it does is it puts your relationship under such stress, because now, in order for you to be okay, this person has to act and do exactly what you think they need to do for you to be okay. Think about what we put on the other person. It's no wonder the divorce rate is so high. You're pitting all of your hopes and dreams and happiness on someone else. And anytime they go off that, it makes your stuff come up, and you get upset. And that's what we do over and over. That is most people's lives from birth to death. It's just reacting, and then you're dead. You never realize there's more. It's like a fish in water. Yeah. You don't realize there's anything outside of the water. That's your entire world there.
Yeah. I am definitely going to try this meditation method.
Trust me.
Like, even though I've been meditating, using different techniques for so long, I never quite get to a point where, I'm going for 45 minutes, man, not even 30 minutes. Okay. But I try, I attempt. So I'm definitely going to, but it makes so much sense, just thinking about it. And while you were talking about, naming it, the name Charlie came to mind. So I'm going to name mine Charlie. That's what I'm going to do. Charlie came to mind. I mean, that's powerful, and it start back at 1. I am definitely going to try that. But as I was saying, just thinking about it makes sense to me how that can just take you back to okay, focus. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, there's Charlie again. Okay, back. 1, 2, 3, 4. That makes so much sense. No, thank you. Thank you for sharing.
You don't get involved when the voice starts talking. This is the biggest secret to any of this, is as soon as you realize it's talking, you don't care. You don't get involved in what it's saying. You don't try to figure out if it's right or it's wrong, because it's never right. Let's be honest. That voice, the lower voice, it's always giving you bad information, because it can only give you information based on whatever those eyes have seen. It can only give you information based on your past. So that's why when you're looking at reality, most people are looking at reality through the lens of whatever happened to them. It's like you're driving down the road. I'm 50, right? I have a 50-year-old car. I've never cleaned the windshield. So now I'm sitting in the driver's seat. I'm trying to drive, and I'm looking through layer after layer after layer of the past and trying to see the present. That's what we're all doing. So like anything bad that happened to us, or good even, like really good things we hold on to too. Like the first kiss, the first car, those things. And then there's maybe in our entire lives, there'll be 10 things like that. They call them peak experiences, like getting married, having a child. How many negative things do you think you've stored in there? It's literally thousands. It could be snakes, spiders. I don't like rain. I don't like heat. I don't like this. If you do that, what happens is you've made the entire universe your enemy, because now you've decided, for some reason, you think you can decide how everything needs to be. And then you're going to go out there every day and try to twist everything. And that's people, places, things to fit what you think you need to be happy, instead of make yourself happy. First, that changes everything. You no longer care what anybody else says. You no longer need anyone else to give you anything. Your relationships will be the best you've ever had. Your work will be the best you've ever had, because all of the crap that's keeping you locked now disappears, because you realize it's just illusionary. It's self-created. You've done this to yourself, and now you've been living with it. As soon as you start to name the voice, it's talking, and you're getting farther and farther away from it, because normally it talks, it triggers us, and we get pulled into what it's saying. And then it could be a week or a month, and we don't even realize we've been unconscious. Soon as it talks and you realize it's talking, you are a winner. You've just won, because you are doing something 98% of the population are not doing. And it's realizing that you're not that voice. So every time you do that, you don't get mad at yourself for the voice talking. I don't care if you meditate for 5 minutes and you have to pull back your focus 150 times. That's a win, because every time you do it, you strengthen your ability to focus. And then you'll realize in your normal life, something will happen, and that focus ability will change everything, because you'll no longer get pulled into drama. You'll no longer, things will seem to be moving slow. It's like the zone, because you're now in control of yourself. You're not letting anyone else's anger or anything change the way you feel. You're kind of in your power, and then you're able to deal with things in a much better position. Instead of being reactive, now you're being proactive. You're in the power position. You're not letting somebody do something and you react to it. So it will change your entire life. And the more you meditate, if you hit, and you will, I promise you will hit this place in you in the first couple of weeks, if you do this right, where you feel some kind of joy or bliss that you've never felt before. And you realize that it's in there all the time. You don't have to buy a new car to feel it. It's like, I was telling somebody the other day, imagine, you're dating this girl. You've been dating for 3 years. You're having the best relationship, you think. All of a sudden she breaks up with you. Okay. Now you can't get out of bed. You haven't left the house for a week. You've got pizza boxes everywhere. The house is a mess. You stink. You have a full beard. Everything's horrible. You're just so tired and depressed, right? The phone rings. The girlfriend's on the phone. She says, I made the biggest mistake of my life. I don't know how I could have ever left you. I love you so much. Can I come see you? What happens to you? Oh my God, you have more energy than you've ever had before. You clean the house, you shave, you take a shower, right? Where did that energy come from? She didn't give it to you. The phone didn't give it to you. It was there. You've been blocked. It's always there. So what happens is when you meditate, you're going to hit that spot where all of a sudden you are connected to your source. You are connected to, I don't care what you believe, God, source, the universe. You get connected to a power that is so much bigger than you that I don't care what you believe in, you can't not believe in something, because you're going to feel it. And then once that happens, it kind of motivates us. And then you'll go longer and you'll go longer. I tell people, add a minute every 2 weeks to your meditation until you get to 20 minutes. And that's where 95% of the population, if you want to do this, that's where everyone should be. Because everybody could do 20 minutes twice a day. Get up a little early, stay up a little later. It'll change your life more than anything you could ever do. There's nowhere to go. There's nothing to buy. Why wouldn't you do it? You don't have to come up with thousands of dollars and go to India and meditate in a cave or drink some kind of weird potion. You have this in you. All you got to do is flip the switch and start doing it. How hard is it to sit alone? For most people, it's extremely hard because as soon as you're sitting by yourself, the voice starts. Why are we doing this? This is stupid. I have more important things to do. I'm hungry. What am I having for lunch? That's what's going to happen because it's not used to being trained. This voice is just used to being in control up there. When you take back your control, it's a tough process for a while because you've got a lot of stuff stored in there. But the more you do this, little tiny things during the day, it's raining and it's your day off. What happens? Oh, God hates me. The universe is out to get me. Why is it raining on my day off? Little things like that. If you kind of let it go, somebody driving too slow in front of you, you let it go. That little bit coming back to you, and the big things will start to come up because we've stuffed all this stuff in us. Every time there's something we don't like, we take it and we push it in with willpower. And then anytime anything reminds us of that, it comes back up because it's trying to leave. It's an energy pattern. It's made to go through us, but we get scared or we don't like it. We push it down. And now something triggers us. All the feeling comes back. It's not just all the thoughts. You feel the same way. It all comes back. What do? You push it back down again. That's our life over and over. Instead of that, when you start working on the little things, now when the big things come up, they're much easier to pass. And you'll start to realize this meditation is coming into my life. It's doing something in my life without me being in it. I'm not in control of it. Life, the universe, something's happening. It's like, we're here. And really, what are we doing? If people say, I had a child, you didn't have a child. A child grew in you magically. Like, you ate food and you turned it into a baby. You can this world is so miraculous. It's like you're on a giant rock that is hurtling through outer space and you're worried about what Mary thinks of your dress and you've got ketchup on your pants and somebody scratched your car. That's what we do. It's like you are on a rock in outer space living this amazing life. People don't get it. They that is so mind-blowing to most people, but that's your everyday existence. You're a space traveler. You're in this suit down here, exploring, and we're on a planet where there's everything. Go to Saturn and see what there's up there. There's no water anywhere. You're on a planet where there's literally everything, anything you could possibly want to do or eat or
abundance.
Be. It's here. And it's like people on board. How can you be bored? It's like you're in Disneyland. You got the best deal of eternity. You are in a place and a time where there is everything, and people just, they don't see it. They don't want it.
Yeah, because they're consumed by so much negativity again out there instead of just looking at all the beauty in the world, all the beauty around them, gratitude, showing gratitude each and every single morning, each and every single evening before you go to sleep, that thank you for food, thank you for shoes, thank you for clothes, thank you for bread, thank you for rice. I mean, the simplest thing, thank you for lights, thank you that I got this laptop, thank you that I get to have an awesome conversation with Brent, whatever it may be, just that gratitude. No, I'm worried about, okay, what I don't have. I'm thinking about, the example you use with the girlfriend. It's the same thing when it comes to money. Think about it, one day I don't have anything in my bank account. All of a sudden, here comes $1,000. All of a sudden, there's so much energy in me. All of a sudden, wow, there's $1,000 in my bank account now. So that makes so much sense. Thank you. That's like a reality check, right there. That energy is within. While I'm on money, when I look at the creator space, the independent creators in the industry, an industry that is like the numbers are growing when it comes to independence. Besides self-confidence, they may have like great self-confidence, self-esteem is at a high. But you also need to put in the time and effort and, the work to get to that financial goal there, because it's not a simple process, like the music business, for example. You're not going to get paid straight away. You're not going to become a millionaire on Spotify, with the streams or Apple Music. It's not going to happen. You need to diversify. But as soon as they don't see the income coming in, like 2-3 months later, they give up on their dream and goal. And I feel like, it's so disheartening for me to see that. I know what it is. I know what it feels like. I know the financial pressure of the industry, but I'm still here and I'm still kicking and I'm still going with what's available to me. But I mean, what's your thought on that? Why do we get so anxious about, okay, I know there's a lot of programming involved also. What can we do, right, to resolve this over and above what you've already mentioned, on the show?
Well, the thing that it breaks down to make it super easy is we're not okay. Okay. We're not okay inside. And what we're doing is we are doing things that we think will make us okay. If you break it down to the easiest denominator, that is it. It's like you're not okay inside, and you think you're just making up what you think will make. You don't know. How do you know? Because it's your own programming and your own life experience that makes this voice. So it doesn't know either. But you think, okay, I was happy when I was 12. And remember, you dated that boy when you were 12. So you got to find somebody like that guy. It's making up stuff from your past. Oh, you were happy this time, so you got to do something like that again. So you have to realize, this thing is never going to steer you in the right direction, because it's been built over decades of your life. It was made to really kind of protect you, but now it just talks and destroys your life. So an important thing is, first of all, what is your goal? Most people don't even have a goal. They say, I want to be rich. I want to be this. I want to be that. That's not a goal. That's a daydream. That's a want. That's not a goal I'm going to reach. That's just something I'm dreaming about having. So those are two big things. Like, what is your goal? What is the outcome that you want? Most people never see, how can you try to get somewhere when you have no idea where you want to end up? If you don't know where you want to go, being rich is not a destination. Okay. That's a side effect of something you've done or something that's happened that's done this, but it's not the goal. I mean, it can't be, because you have to have what is going to make you rich, right? Or where's the passion? And that's important too. Like, what is the thing that you would do for free? Because I mean, so many people, my dad wanted me to be a lawyer. Like, people are living for their parents or their families, or, somebody wants them to do something. So now they're 40, 50 years old having a midlife crisis because they realize they've lived a life that is not even theirs. They're doing something they hate because somebody told them to do it. So I think the first thing is just, what do I want? And do I want it? In other words, is this not something my dad told me, or my grandma or whatever? Is this what I want? And then where is your passion? Because we all have something. We all have usually one thing, that just really is our gift that we can give back. And if you're not doing that, you're really, I don't want to say you're wasting your life, but if you're going to work every day and you're in anxiety and turmoil, you are leading a life that is so difficult. When you realize you could be living, you've got this energy, the world is amazing, you're being negative all the time, you're bringing more negativity to you. If you have negative friends, you're in like a negativity vortex all the time, because they're pulling you into it. People suck your energy. You try to stay up, like you talked about frequency. If you're vibrating on a high frequency and you have a friend who's vibrating on a low frequency, and people hear this and they think, oh, this is such BS. It's true. Everything is energy. I mean, all of us, everything in the universe is energy, different vibrating patterns of energy. So if you're up here and you're vibrating on a high frequency and you're staying positive and you're staying in charge of the voice, and you have a friend down here, it's very dangerous, because you can do two things. Okay. You can either, to talk to this person, you're going to have to go down to where they are. It's impossible for you to raise them up to your frequency where you are. So the danger comes because you've got to lower your frequency to kind of, to be on the same level as them. And that's very dangerous. If you do that over and over and over again, you're putting yourself in a position where, it's down there. It's hate, it's anger, it's all these emotions, it's all the negative emotions. It's not joy, bliss, it's not the confidence, the things you're going to find up here. So you kind of got to sometimes cut people loose. You have to look at yourself and go, look, I have given everybody else a second chance, a third chance, a 518th chance. I'm going to give myself another chance, because that's what it comes down to. We can't change anyone else. Nobody else can change us. But the only way we can help the world is to change ourselves. Not only is it going to make our life, we're going to live a different life, because you're going to realize you've been suffering for nothing. The reason you're suffering is because you've decided how it has to be, and now you're not getting that. So now you're suffering. Suffering is really, you've done it in your life. Out of most people's lives, what percentage of that life is really suffering, like really in pain, really in physical? It's like 1.11. It's so minuscule, the amount of time, but people suffer because something happens and they live it over and over and over. They go back to it. Why didn't I do this? And if I had done this, then he wouldn't have done that. And when you're doing that every day and people are in the past, 40% of the day, that means, why didn't this happen? I wish it would have happened. 40% of the same day, we're in the future going, oh God, I hope this doesn't happen. Or I really wish this happens. So that leaves 20% of the day, like in this moment, which is the only moment that matters because it's now. Like when the past was happening, it was in this moment. When the future happens, it will be in this moment. Nobody wants this moment. It's like you're making coffee. You don't want this moment. You want the moment where you're drinking it. It's Wednesday night and you're 17 and you want it to be Friday night. So you're always putting it ahead of you. Again, that's what happens. So soon as you look towards yourself and you go, nothing out there is going to do it. I've got to start spending time with me and going in that shift. And it's literally this little area between your ears here. It's nothing out there. You don't have to go out and fight the world. You have to fight what you've done to yourself up here. And the great thing is there's nobody else in there. Mom's not in there. Dad's not in there. The ex isn't in there. None of these people are with you. You're in there by yourself, but it's not how you're living. The ex-husband's still in there. The mom is still in there. The mom's been dead 30 years, but you're still fighting with mom inside your head. When you let that stuff go, you start to live an existence that no one else is living because you're living a miracle because you are a living miracle on this planet, but you have done this to yourself. So now it's time to liberate yourself.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with what you said about, you really need to watch in this day and age the people who is in your circle, whether it be friends or family or colleagues, and you have to decide, am I going to stick around these low vibrational people, even if it's family? And I am talking from personal experience here, listeners. Like, you need to cut loose. You really need to cut loose, for your own personal growth and development. You need to take accountability because 2 years from now, if you are still in the same state, that's on you. Because, oh no, I'm feeling sorry for them. Oh no, they need me. And, I just had this conversation with my own mother today because she was mentioning to me, about certain family members, to sum it up, they're just in this low vibrational state, no accountability and no plan of action. And the conclusion of the conversation was like, look, mother, you can do so much. You've already tried. I understand it's family, you care, cool. You have already tried. But you need to focus on you. You need to focus on your life. You can't do more than you have already done. And that's the point where you say, look, I'm going to step back. I don't need to cut all communication, but I'm going to step back, focus on me. And if they need me, they can reach out. This is where I'm at. And if you want to get to where I'm at, as you mentioned, then, you come see me up here. And that's just how I feel generally about anyone out there. Any situation you're in now is on you. I put it on you. So take that accountability.
And family is usually the worst because family will tell, first of all, your family, people that know you, they don't really, a lot of them do not want to see you succeed because if you succeed, it shows them that they could have done it too. And somebody that's really close, it's difficult. So there comes a point, and I love what you said, you don't have to cut off unless it's really, really turmoil with them. Like if it's hurting you physically, if it's really hurting you emotionally, then maybe, cut off all contact. But you can do this in steps. You don't have to just close the door on someone, but we have to start taking our power back. We have to start caring about how, what's happening to us. It's not being greedy. At a certain point, you have to start paying attention to you because you're never going to level up unless you do. And you can't do anything else out there for anyone until you've leveled yourself up.
Yeah. And also like what you said, about, when you're making the coffee, you're already thinking about drinking the coffee. It's like misalignment,
Yep. Something
is not right there. You're not aligned. Like, while you're eating, you're already thinking about sleeping, when you're in the shower, you're thinking about, what I'm going to be doing tomorrow, not appreciating the moment. That's why it's called the present, in the moment. Whatever the troubles may be, you will deal with that when you cross that bridge. We will deal with that tomorrow.
Right.
That's how I feel. Brent, you've also worked with music icons, like some big names out there, Dolly Parton, to mention one that I have seen. Like, how was that experience for you? And I'm mentioning this because, this podcast is mainly for the creative space, like, what's that experience? It just shows, that even stars at that level also need coaches. They also need guidance, How was that experience?
Well, it was great. I mean, I spent my whole career at the beginning of my career opening for celebrities. So I would do, an act, and I would open in casinos and in Vegas and different places. But I started to realize, Joan Rivers, Don Rickles, people like that, they both talked about the magic of believing. Coincidentally enough, they understand that. A lot of celebrities, and now they have, they have business managers, they have assistants, they have accountants, their lives are pretty, compared to a normal person, you would think it's fantastic. They have people to do everything. But of course you still have some people have certain things that they're self-confident, it's very low about. So there's always something. But I've noticed that the celebrities that really understand the mind, that they understand, the way I think has an effect over what's happening to me, they really get it. So they've really streamlined the process, because if you're really wealthy and you understand this, life becomes really easy, because you've got the thing everyone else is trying to go for. And if you really start paying attention to yourself now, everything starts to change, because the money, we all think that's what it is. I mean, I went into this business because of the money. And then when I got the money, I realized I wasn't any happier. And that's really when I started drinking and I started taking drugs. Seriously, because my whole life, I thought when I get rich or I make $1 million, I will be happy. When I made money and I realized, wow, not only am I not happier, I'm actually more miserable, because I'm doing more work. Now I have bills. I'm doing this. There's a lot more going on. That's a big thing to take. And it is for a lot of people and a lot of celebrities as well, because you think that, when I become famous, when everyone knows me, when I have a TV show that's popular or whatever it is, I will finally be happy. And then they get it. And guess what? The next thing happens and somebody says something about them, and then they're off to the races in their mind. So, I mean, it's everyone, from a politician to I do a lot of athletes, sports teams and things like that I've done. It takes people who can understand. Athletes are great because they understand this, being in the zone, this, doing the game, playing the game in their mind. They understand that. But where a lot of people go south is they allow the emotions to hijack them in other parts. They can be really good, laser focused in one area, and then in maybe relationships, they're horrible. So it's like, if you don't have it going in all areas, you're going to have one area that controls your life. And you're, even if you're good in everything else. So it really takes, you've got to really step back and look, whether you're a celebrity or a normal person like us, you have to step back and look at your life and say, do I like where I am? Why am I here? And you're here because of your choices, whether you like them or not. But the great thing is nobody's blaming you, because there's reasons all this happened. So nobody's saying, it's your fault. But what we're saying is, now that you're here, you've got to look at it and see, what do I need to do to make the rest of my life incredible? Because it can end right now. Whatever you're going through, that you're suffering, you're feeling, horrible, your anxiety levels are through the roof, that can all end. And it can end quickly as soon as you stand up and go, I'm not going to live like this anymore. That's what it takes. I'm going to draw a line in the sand and I'm going to live differently.
Yeah. I mean, how many celebrities throughout the years have committed suicide?
Right.
There was a YouTube star just yesterday, committed suicide at 29 years old. It just shows you, like what we mentioned about, you have to get it right in all areas of your life. So I may be getting it right as a DJ, I'm touring the world. I'm going to use Avicii as an example here, but behind the scenes, there's substance abuse, drugs, alcohol, next thing you know, dead. And then people are like, why? He had it all. She had it all. That's the life I want to live. Like, what could go wrong? Because as Brent just said, the other areas, there's a problem in the other areas, so all needs to be aligned. And that's like, inside again, going inside again, that's where it starts. I mean, it's sad. It's really sad when you hear about, young superstars, committing suicide or substance abuse, and then the whole career is tarnished because, that alignment and just fixing all those key areas, critically important.
The voice inside, think about this. Nobody has ever committed suicide without the voice in their head telling them to do it. Think about it. The voice, I can't take this anymore. We are worthless. You are worthless. Whatever it is, it can get to such a bad point where the voice inside your head ends your life, because it is you are so caught up in it. It is telling you how worthless you are. It can literally end you. That's how much of a battle you have going on, and you don't realize it. If you let this thing run you, And I mean, that's of course an extreme case, but it does happen. Nobody's ever committed suicide without the voice telling them to do it. So that's how much of an enemy you can make there by not looking at yourself, and it's an easy thing to do. It's like, it's scary at the beginning, but man, you're going to reap the benefits from this.
Yeah, man, this show has been so impactful, so impactful. So to the average listener, listening right now, or when they do listen once it's uploaded, I mean, they sitting there, they listen to you, and then they think to themselves, okay, I want to get involved. How does one get involved now with Brent Webb? Can an individual get involved with you, or is it just put down to, companies? And there's one more question I actually want to ask about, corporate culture. Like, how does one get involved now? Where's the starting point with you? Is it checking out your books, reading that, checking out your videos, maybe? Especially before you answer, one more thing, sorry, before you answer, just on top of that, like, when you started off 30 years ago, okay, I mean, access to education, wasn't so easy as it is now. And you really have to, do your research when it comes to hiring someone like from your industry, because now there's coaches all over the place. There's educators all over the place. And a good percentage of them are scammers, So now that entry thought also comes to mind, So this might be a hard question to also answer for you, but like, I'm sold, by listening to what you have to say. But now the average person out there is thinking about all of this stuff that I've mentioned now. Where's the starting point now with Brent? Where do you want them to start off like with you? And what makes, Brent Webb now stand out from this flooded crowd? Just like the music industry, flooded,
Well, one thing is I am not trying to sell anything. I have been super successful in my career, my live events, my shows, my, tours. So I'm not coming at this from an area of, I need you to buy my course. I need you to go on my retreat. That's what most other people are doing. They're trying to get you into something, and then you're going to graduate and go into the next program. And I'm here to tell you that my entire life has changed. Thousands of people I've worked with has changed. You don't have to buy a thing from me. You don't have to do anything special. You have it all inside you. Somebody needs to teach you how to do it. And you don't have to charge for that. And I don't. So what I tell people to do, the best way, you can go to my website, but you don't have to go there. What I tell people, if you go to brentsgroup.com, which is BRENTS, no apostrophe, group.com, you can sign up. It's free. I have a free Facebook group. There's, 10,000 people in there. And I teach every day. It's all free. I'm teaching people, no matter where you are, no matter where you're watching this from, what you look like, how much you weigh, what color you are, what your sexual preference is. None of that crap matters. All you've got to do is spend a few minutes every day on yourself. So I do a newsletter every week. It's free. We don't sell anything there. It's just, okay, here's a couple of tips. Try this week. This is your goal for the week. And every day we have thousands of people in there, and I'm in there every day. And it's a great place to start. Because like I said, you don't have to spend anything. You just kind of can get in there and decide, because we're all on this journey. We're at different spots. So you just jump in and you just start. Because until you start watching us today, reading a book, watching a podcast, none of this matters until you start to do it. Because I can tell you how amazing it is, but it's never going to give you the emotional fuel you need until it happens to you, until you see it working in your life. And it's going to take you doing it. And so if somebody's saying you can change your life in ways you have never even thought possible, you're more powerful than you ever thought, it doesn't cost anything, you don't have to go anywhere, you can do it right now, why the hell not? But most people just don't. They just they don't get it. They don't. So just go join the group and, just jump in there. And again, you don't even have to say anything. There's tons of resources. I've got 1,000 videos on YouTube. It's all free. It's just there to help people awaken. Because I really believe we change the world like this. We awaken and the people around us awaken and they inspire. And that's how we do it. Not by fighting and wars and missiles, because then it's only who has the biggest missiles going to win this thing. Right. But if you do it this way, you are changing the world from the inside out, because it's literally person by person by person. So that's what I'm trying to do. Like I said, it's not about, attending my lecture or taking my course. It's about, I want you to unlock what's inside, make yourself better. Your family gets better. I get better because of it. We all do. So that's what I want to make happen. That's why I'm here doing this. I do every podcast, every TV show, every radio. I mean, I do everything. And it's just this message. I'm just saying, you can do this.
Yeah.
Here's how to do it. And there's nothing else to say. This is it.
Yeah. Man, I appreciate you. That's it. People don't want to do it. All you have to do is put in the effort. Like, I can relate to that. When I look at, the creative space, once again, the independent talent that's out there. And, here I am, podcasts being one component, of what I do. And all you got to do is put the effort in. You're literally getting told how to do it from A to Z, but I can't do it for you. You need to do it for yourself, but they just don't want to. And it's just the limitations, that self-belief, it's like low. Or my parents telling me that it's not worth it, go get a real job,
Yep.
And then you take all that personal, and then, okay, you go get a job, and then you're miserable for your entire life. But, it is what it is. Yeah, once again, when I was mentioning to you about the conversation I had with my mother, you can do so much, you can do so much. I can't take you all the way, because then I am going to get down now to your level, and I'm going to get frustrated. So whatever. Before we wrap up, Brent, I just wanted to talk about, corporate culture. Corporate culture has changed so much. And I mean, you've been in the game for 30 years, right? Corporate culture has changed so much. Now we're living in this world that's driven by so much emotion and a competitive mindset. Like, what have you been doing, when it comes to groups of people or companies, what do we need to practice within our organizations, whether our team is 5 people or whether it's 5,000 people, what's going to work for a team of bringing more unity, in the company or organization, whatever it may be, even an NGO, there's politics in NGOs as well, so what can we do?
Well, I do a lot of corporate events, and I do a lot of seminars and things for companies. I think the biggest thing people need to realize is this idea that we're all competing is really crazy, because if you think about it, there has never been 2 people in the history of the world who have the same experience. It's impossible. Everybody has their own view of life. Even if we're in the same room watching the same thing, I'm looking at it from a different angle. I'm seeing it through the lens of my past. So no 2 people have the same strengths and weaknesses. So if you look at competition like that, like I've got to fight somebody to get what I want, and if I don't get mine, if he gets his, I'm not going to get mine. That scenario, then it pits us all against each other. But instead of competition, if you start looking at creation, which is create your own thing, create your passion, creation is powerful. It doesn't matter who's doing what. If you're running a race and you're constantly looking at the guy next to you to see what he's doing and how far ahead he is, you're going to start to fall behind, because you're paying all your focus and attention is on him. When you realize there is no competition, it's just not possible. It isn't, because we're not on an equal playing field. I've got strengths that you don't have, and you have strengths I don't have. You start to look at it that way, that I can get mine. It's not like there's a pie, and if all the pieces are gone, I don't get any. It's an endless supply. The universe is supplying. It's manifesting everything. So there is an abundant supply, a never-ending supply of everything. There's not this finite, which is what they want you to think, because they want us all fighting each other, because it's so much easier to control us when we're all fighting over stupid crap, So you have to, realize competition is not really real, and you have to. Companies hate it when I say this, but as far as company culture, it's fine. But you have to be an individual, and you have to have this connection to yourself. If you put yourself in the company mode, that's not real. I mean, it's not real. Nobody, no matter who you are, you're not going to care 100% about the company and not about yourself. You have to build the confidence in you. Your work's going to get better. Everything will get better. So instead of I don't ever go in and try to show people we're going to make this job better. I'm going to improve you, and everything's going to get better, including your job. You're going to sell more. You're going to do more. You're going to want to be every morning. You're going to wake up and, oh my goodness, what's going to happen today? Instead of, oh God, here we go. When you do that, everything just has to change, because you're no longer looking at it with gloom and doom. So that's usually the message. It's just, you're important. Everyone is important. We're all here for a reason. It's like we're here. It's just like a giant school. Your soul comes down here. You learn some amazing things for a very quick amount of time, and you're gone. Like, it's very quick. The earth has been here billions of years. How long are you here? Like that, right? So stop worrying about what everyone thinks, what color the car is and what this, and you're wearing last year's sweater or whatever. That stuff you can let go immediately. And then you can start working on, it's raining on my day off. The guy in front of me is driving slow. All those things, every time you do that, you get more and more willpower, which is what focus is. It's willpower. When somebody says, I don't have the willpower, that's what it is. It's that focus. So work on yourself, you know, and then everything gets better. The company gets better. Your coworkers get better. Your competitors get better. Everything's better because you've upped the game for yourself. So when you come in it that way, you're giving the person the ability to change themselves, and the company's changing secondarily. But it's also changing. It's very hard to go in there and say, we're going to change the company, and then, you know, without changing the person. So I think that's the message, you know, everyone's important. And if you're not doing, first of all, if you don't know what your passion is, find it. And meditation will help. If you sit there and you're quiet, and that voice starts talking, you're going to start to realize some things that are uncomfortable, but find out what your passion is. It doesn't matter if you're 80 years old. If you find out what your passion is before you die, you have won. You've won because no one else is doing it. Hardly anyone's doing it. And people like us, you and I, you know, we know what our passion is. We know what we want to do. And we try to we're trying to help people along the way. So find your passion, and it could be, I'm the best cook in the world. I'm the best, I don't know, TV repairman. Do they even do that anymore? Whatever it is, if your passion is in something like that, do it. No, don't let anybody tell you it's not good enough. It's not the right thing. You know, it comes down to us. And like I said, when you change yourself, you get along better with everyone else. You make more money. You are happier because all the stuff that's keeping you down, all the things that you think you need to have just disappear. And now you're grateful. Like you said, you're grateful. And when you're grateful for what you already have, you get more things to be grateful for. You start to see, wow, I'm grateful for this. And now look, there's more things to be grateful for. It's like a never ending cycle. And usually we're doing it the wrong way. So yeah, just if you're watching this, you can do it no matter where you are. I promise you. And let us know how it goes because we want to know.
And you know, just to close, you know, when it comes to passion, it's like it can literally be right in front of you. You know, the signs are all around you. You know, that thing that you're doing all the time or that makes you smile, you may think in the moment, just like, you know, it's a hobby, just something I like to do. Exactly that thing you like to do is your passion. Focus on that. You know, whatever it may be, focus on that. Brent, this has been a phenomenal 1 hour, phenomenal conversation. I appreciate you so much and what you do. And I mean, just all the tools and resources that you're offering to people, you know, for free to get started, you know, that's the type of people, you know, that we need in the world, more of that. Not the coach that comes and says, okay, you know, you first need to pay me like $199 first,
right?
You know, and then you're going to get this. And as you said, you know, you'll get certified in this, then you'll move to this. And next thing you know, you're like 5 years down the line, thousands of dollars lost, and you made no progress.
Right.
Also because you've been taught all the wrong things, you know, all the wrong things, you know. And, you know, for listeners, try it out. If you don't believe us, try it out. Take what Brent is saying, check out Brent's groups, check out his website, you know, and then compare it to someone else out there who's asking for this amount of money upfront, and then compare the curriculum as well. Like, what is Brent talking about? What is this guy talking about? You know, like I got an email, it was last week, you know, for your consideration, and it's another coach, you know, about how to start a business. Now, look, it's no scam. He's legit in what he's doing, you know, but he's asking me for $500 upfront because he wants to show me how to start a business and, you know, all the paperwork and, you know, all of those things. But, you know, versus what you are talking about, you know, especially starting from inside, that's the starting point, not the paper, you know, not the paper.
For sure.
So, simple example. Brent, thank you so much. I will definitely share your website, Brent's group. Are you on any social media platforms where people can check you out? Where you hanging out?
Yeah, I'm on everything. If you look up Brent Webb Official, but I'm on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, you know, all of the normal stuff, nice. YouTube. And like I said, if my Facebook group, brentsgroup.com. That's really the best thing, because like I said, there's a lot of people there, and and it's free. And I really repost a lot of things from my main pages to my other social media. So it's kind of the, if you follow me all on all social media, you're going to see a lot of the same thing. So follow the Facebook group and you'll get it, first and free.
Yeah. And by the way, I signed up for Brent's newsletter. Okay, so
awesome.
Go for it. Check it out. Brent, brother, thank you so much. Once again, I appreciate you. Keep doing what you're doing, man.
I appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Yeah, enjoy. Bye.